Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with our first semi-finalist, the rank 1 Protoss in the world. In the red, the smiling assassin. It's herO. Facing off against the former world champion Zerg in the blue. We have Rogue in a best-of-3 Protoss versus Zerg semi-finals to the newest Kung Fu Cup tournament. And before we get started, it'd be incredible if you could smash that like button. Maybe even subscribe. And we counted the algorithm. And Jimmy, what are we at? 1,831 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways, because I don't know why I do anything else with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better than the very first pro being persecuted for the capital crimes of trespassing, thievery of minerals, and most importantly, being Protoss. And an adept will follow it up. It overstayed its welcome, but let's be honest, probes are rarely welcome at all, sometimes in their own base, but the Zergling should be there to intercept and a Stargate behind, so a relatively standard start. But Protoss versus Zerg is, what is that? I swear I wasn't setting this up. That's a Phoenix. Now, Phoenixes are not extinct, but they certainly haven't risen from the ashes into a prominent part of the metagame, just very simply because an Oracle does most of their job better. The only thing it doesn't do is kill overlords directly, but usually the Oracle just turns its nose up and points it out to the Stalkers. But the Phoenix gonna handle it itself. That overripe floating tomato be knocked down easily. The Overlord trying to get, what scouting information it can, but its time is borrowed and has finally run out. Bit gruesome. Will supply block Rogue, somewhat annoyingly. And he's building more. Occasionally, the most common version of this is build one Phoenix and then get the Oracles behind. You deny scouting, but then you still have the defense. He's just building more Phoenixes. Sure. This feels like one of those styles, one of those builds where there's like, you know what I haven't done in a while? And sometimes his opponents end up hurting themselves in their own confusion trying to figure out not only what it is, but why it is. I sometimes feel like one of those opponents. But he's just going mass, sure. Now, the reason you don't usually go mass Phoenix is you can't put nearly as much pressure on. You can't cut down the drone count. Despite the Phoenixes being kind of efficient, they're not nearly as good at picking up and knocking down the drones as the Oracles are at melting through the mineral line. Also, obviously, Zerglings are more of a threat, as using Phoenix energy to lift Zerglings feels like a real waste of their talents. But the Overlord's just hanging out. The one Phoenix, okay. 4 Phoenixes, not okay. Can jot that one down, but a second Overlord to make that 3. Oh, no. Hey, this is restricted lair space. And who's going to enforce that, Brenda? I don't... Sorry. The Phoenixes gets a couple of the drones, and the only gas guys are currently mining. No lair on the way. The only anti-air, if you could call it that, is the Queens. And Spore Crawlers, of course, but easily circumvented, really both of them. One is barely mobile, and the other one is a Spore Crawler. So, Forge is on the way. What? Star Charge. All right, we're going Phoenixes into the shady bunch of adepts here into charge slots. Sure, why not? And a queen in a precarious position, but there's enough to ward away the Phoenixes for now. He stopped at 4, which is enough to potentially knock down a queen in a single lift, but is not a massive gas investment. The same amount of gas as about 3 Oracles. Actually, a little bit less, but... And now the Overlords were promised protection from the Queens, but so far the Queen's not even able to protect themselves. And the charge lots will chase down the Zergling. Rogue is at 69 drones, which is very nice for herO. That is way too many. I think he anticipated just a mass Stargate build, which herO's been doing lately. But no, it's one of the oldest builds, but it still checks out. The Star Charge, he's got 4 Phoenixes. Those Queens are right out in the middle of everything. He picks them up. The charge lots underneath, they don't have +1. The Zerglings get us around. The Queen, you're flying again. I don't... And this, well, having a being an intense surprise to Rogue, ends up being a mild to moderate inconvenience. So thus demonstrating why usually Phoenixes are traded out for Oracles at, well, really before the Phoenixes ever exist. Huh. So the Zerglings easily surround the Zealots. The Phoenixes only kind of temporarily detain the Queens. And now Rogue has 80 drones. He has 4 bases. He's got a Hydra dead on the way. Another Queen will be lifted twice, which could get transfused. They choose not to. I choose to believe that was conscious. And an Overseer actually managed to get across and confirms, indeed, herO has abandoned the skies and is focused on the ground. A Templar Archives on the way. He's just building Archons, not even bothering with Storm. 3 Phoenixes survived, and, well, what is this? Archon drop? Sure. Now, usually the Archon drop is an opener. Maybe after that Oracle we've talked about several times now, but still bears repeating. But Archon drop it whenever is also potentially good. This is... The thing is, a significant the Zerglings. Banelings waddling into the natural. Zerglings in the main. Banelings also... So we can pick up the Banelings, but they actually explode all over everything underneath. And that might sound exciting, but for the Protoss, they're not such big fans. And the oldest trick in the book, Rogue actually split off some lings in the main base, and the Banelings are inside the house. herO, I think he had a charge lot in the wall, but it was not on hold position. herO, he sees it. He warps in a Zealot. It's not even close. Loses 10 probes to the Banelings from inside of his base. The gift that just keeps on giving. And, well, Archons and charge lots with +1. +1 is huge against the Zerglings because it allows Zealots to kill them in just 2 swipes instead of 3. They don't swipe too fast. The Zerglings surrounding Archons. Archons are hard counter to Zerglings, but quantity has a quality of its own. Another wave of Zealots is coming in. The Phoenixes are finally knocked out of the sky in their hubris. And the Immortals and Archons are left over. Most of the charge lots were melted away. herO's down 70. Yes, 70 supply. But that 70 supply he does have, well, he's 48 probes to 82 drones. He has Archons and Immortals, and I would say charge lots, but only 2 of them right now. 4 Archons. His power is underwhelming at the moment. But Rogue, he can't know exactly how good of a position he's in. He knows herO's on 3 bases to 5. He knows that herO lost the majority of his army. There is no Storm on the way, but again, Rogue can't anticipate that. There's no reason herO couldn't get Storm at least earlier, maybe after the warping, but the threat of Storm is there, which is part of why Rogue is not risking his position by just running across the map. If it's 5 bases to 3, it's not like he's Terran dropping mules, all right? But now, okay, I'm trying to... How does this even happen? Some Banelings, a ridiculously rapid-fire warp-in, but in the main base, because the Zerglings, of course, slipped through. The guards were easily distracted. Now, Rogue is very clearly in a advantageous position. He has double the army supply. He is maxed out. He has 30 more workers. He has 2 more bases. So the longer he waits for herO to build up, likely the worse it gets for him. The best chance for herO is getting as close as possible to 200 supply just before Rogue has more tech. Just before he gets a hive or lurker den or even a spire at this point. But herO has not scouted for quite a while, ever since the Phoenixes were taken out. The Archon drop playing a very dangerous game. I'm not sure there's enough space. But the Archons, well, Archons are really good. On their own, though. Yeah, get back here. The Archon chasing it back. The Scooby-Doo exchange here. But Rogue is maxed out with money in the bank. He's waiting for herO to come across the map. And herO, he's waiting for Rogue to come across the map. Will they, won't they? Rogue didn't want to risk spending the gas on going for an infestation pit. The only chance for herO was another big attack. And that is still true. It's just taken quite a while to get to this point. And herO is never one to tap out early. So now he actually has a similar army supply, and he's going to have +3 Archons. 9 Archons. 65 Banelings. A bunch of Zealots and Archons. The 2 Archons really make things more complicated here. As even Baneling, it takes approximately... No, you see, herO is really focusing on his micro on the other side of the map. That's why. herO's playing 4D backgammon right now with 2 hands tied behind his back while smashing his head on the keyboard. Which comes as a revelation that he uses a keyboard. But, despite all that, herO is now maxed out effectively. He's getting a 4th base to the north. And Rogue waited so long to get Hive Tech. He's going to have 90 Banelings. That is so many Banelings. And it might take 50 Banelings to take down an Archon. But he has almost double that. This is... Well, he loses a few right off the bat. A huge wave of charge lots to the left side. Like the Legacy of the Void cinematic. But there's not enough Banelings here. You thought 15 Banes was enough. It wasn't. He just countered Banelings with charge lots. Just like Rogue is going to attempt to counter Immortal Archon with Banelings. Nothing makes sense. The points are made up. Encounters don't matter. A fleet beacon is now on the way as herO has survived in order to build up this army. He didn't want to risk attacking into an entire direct strike wave of Banelings, but he may be giving up what little initiative he potentially had, as he had 200 supply, and he just threw away a few, like 35 Zealots or so. But he's got the CIA build, the charge lots, the Immortals, the Archons, in escalating level of importance, especially when there are no lurkers. Unfortunately for herO, there are several lurkers. 8 lurkers now finishing. Lurker range on the way. Mama ship. Oh, now it's time for an Oracle. What a revelation is what he needs in order to deal with this. But Rogue is down to 68 drones. Some of that intentional that he built so many spine crawlers. But his army is now competitive, which... Well, that is a lot of Archons. He has 12 Archons. His army is at almost 50% Archon. Which is not a bad one to have. Like, 40% Archon, 40% Immortal, and 20% Mothership, and 100% reason to remember the name. That's where we're at right now. Never tell him the odds, or do any math. He's got, like, math dyslexia, which, it's a thing. Oh, look it up. Read a tome. That is a girthy army right there. That he went for shield upgrades for the Archons. 8 Immortals, 13. Rogue could very well lose to this army. Make no mistake. The lurkers are great. But that is just so many Archons. The Immortals are obviously important as well. No. Fool me once. And, well... The Zerglings in the main, the natural, and the third. He's going to lose all the probes, thus freeing up supply for the main attack. This is an incredibly entrenched position. He recalls to somewhere. Where the hell did he... Oh, to the mothership! And just obliterates the 3 o'clock base. Unfortunately for herO, he's not going to have much of a home to go back to. He just lost 50 probes! But his army supply is still so dangerous. Rogue. The Immortal Archon. He's just going to go up a ramp. Why not? All right, he's trying to shred. He backs off with the lurkers because he knows that's still too much Protoss. The Zerglings are coming back, and herO still has potential here. The detection is there. The probes are with the army, because, I mean, where else are they going to go? He's not mining at all. The Banelings are softening things up. Still not enough to break through, but the Hydras and Lurkers, 23 more Hydras in production. It doesn't get any easier. herO has 0 income. And unemployed Protoss does not seem like a good long-term option. But he's gonna back off yet again, clear up the base, and somehow he's still in the game. Mostly because he has 100 army supply of Immortal Archon Mothership. So, an entire division of charge lots is trying to find a way out of this. He should have a Nexus recall. He only used the Mothership recall. Oh, is he? He's threatening the main. He could go for the main. There are changelings in with the army. The Mothership reveals itself, but the Lurkers aren't going to get back in time. The Lurkers are in the middle of the map, and herO with the tactical dunk into the main. He mass recalls. Is there a force field for the ramp? No! With no force field, and he doesn't have Storm. Oh, but he still has the high ground. He could recall out, but this army is just way too thick. And, okay, if he had a sentry, a single sentry. But he didn't have a sentry, a decade, or even a single year. GG! Rogue eventually wins the game that, by all measures that don't include herO, he should have won about 10 minutes ago. But here we are. And Rogue takes the lead. herO with not even a pretend, not even making an attempt to wall off. Because of course not. I want to point out, both players are using the herO portrait. herO, for winning the All-Stars tournament earlier this year, got his own portrait in the game. Actually, the first time, well, he may have had one for WCS, but the first new portrait added for at least a couple years. So, both players using it, which, quite a mind game, but... Rogue... Despite having double the supply, the reason he didn't attack is because if there was Storm, that's how you lose the game. herO did the narrow path, as always, to both getting into that position and almost getting out of it. The flexibility is impressive. I'm a little jealous, but eventually, and honestly, if he had a single sentry with the Mothership recall, there's not even a Roachborn. He cannot break force field. Even a single force field would have given him enough time to destroy the entire main base. Now, how does he get out of that scenario? Well, 2 sentries then, and then he just locks him. The ultimate Hail Mary of recalling into the main. Now, how did he get into that position? Mostly because the Zerglings killed literally every single probe that was mining, besides the ones he pulled to the front. So, herO, again, giving us both indications when we watch him play. Like, sometimes it's a stroke of genius, and sometimes it seems more like a regular stroke, and sometimes simultaneously. But the end result, Rogue won. Is there a new hope for Protoss? Is that a wall? So, fun fact. The meme, if you would, was from this map, when herO tried several times to wall off and failed, and it was in his first-person camera. You could see him trying to figure out where to place the pylons. So this time around, it's better. I'm not convinced. Oh, and speaking of pylons, the powerhouse of the Protoss. Sure, that's another place for it. Chicanerous and deplorable. Churlish and insubordinate. Friend, are you talking to the probes again? I'm talking at the probes, Susan. I'm sorry. Backed out for her. I'm not convinced, but do I need to be? Meanwhile, the queen is 1v1ing the pylon. Thing is, the adept is here. This is much of the reason you go for the early block, to open up these sort of opportunities to make the Zerg's life both emotionally and physically miserable. There's Zerglings in the base. Yep. Well, it's unclear whether they walked in the obvious entrance or the only marginally less obvious one, but he does lose a probe. But 2 adepts get into the main, and that's gonna be at least a couple drone kills and probably significantly more. Oh no. Rogue. 4. The adept will shade away. And here comes the Oracle. He was trying to buy some time for the Oracle to get in, and he succeeds. And that's 7 drone kills. Loses both adepts, but keeps the Oracle alive. Now it's in the orange, as the prophecy foretold. And even more oracles in production. Another deplorable opener out of herO. He's not going where the Phoenixes, but instead, and I'm not being rhetorical, he has, so far, 2. Recharge is 1. Is it recharge if they never had the energy in the first place? Where are my pedantic nerds at? Yeah, look down in the comments. Like and subscribe. What is the... Okay. We got 4 gates. We got a Twilight. Blink. 2 bases, by the way. Rogue has had 36 drones, which is certainly not ideal, considering it's less than herO has on 2-base Protoss. Stasis catches 1. Roachhorn is on the way. The Twilight is spotted. So remember, he just went for charge. But it's blink. You don't go blink on 2 bases. He's hiding a forge, which I don't even think would be a giveaway. He just threw it out there. I don't even know if he's hiding it or if he just felt like building it there. One cannot know that which is unknowable. Food for thought. If you're hungry, I guess, or starving, really. Now, this looks like charge. Maybe charge lot Archon. And because roaches are not good against blink stalkers. Stalkers, they're not bad, but the ideal choice is usually hydras. Now, there's no lair on the way, but I'm quite confident that Rogue is anticipating charge or even adept glaives. It's just blink stalkers. Which, if Rogue tries to do a big all-in, blink stalkers are great. You can get so much value, especially with them this early. A big all-in to counter charge lots is usually more effective because once you reach a critical mass of roaches, then the charge lots are significantly less strong. Those are risky. Here's the Oracle with the less HP, but Rogue is about to spot the stalkers. And we'll see immediate lair. Starting some Zerglings, and yep. Pretty sure he got bamboozled. No more roaches on the way. herO will be taking the initiative here in game 2. Some Overlords. Overlords just not having a good time this series. There's some Overlords just out in the midst of everything. An easy mistake to make, but also something really he shouldn't be. Having 2 Overlords. 1 Overlord, okay. But it's not the buddy system there. That's just a liability. A suicide pact, more like. But melting through some more creep spread. The lair's still not done. herO just moves out. Bunch of blink stalkers. He sees that roaches were already in production, which is what he wanted. Assuming he's planning ahead. And then just backs off. He's forced Rogue yet again into unit production. He has more workers than the Zerg, even though he took a late 3rd base. So herO is just, as always, dictating the pace of the entire game. A robotics bay is also one of the things you can build. He's definitely trying to check off every tech in this series. Okay, last game we had Phoenixes and no Storm Archons, like double-digit Archons. This game, is he gonna go Colossi? Disruptors? That's really the only Observer Speed? Suddenly he has foracles as well. Just kind of kept building them. Well, against a Queen Rochallin, having more oracles is good. And also, when you want the Zerg to be very upset about oracles, having more oracles is good. So he's got both those covered. The Overlords were driven back, so that means the Stalkers, they blink forward, which is risky business. Is he gonna... I don't think he can fit in a recall. Though, he's actually kind of... Wow, the Zerglings kind of pushed him in. And he ends up losing 6 Stalkers throughout all this, but it could have been much worse. He managed to fit a few more Stalkers in the recall because the Zerglings were jostling him into position. Now the Oracles are hunting. And, oh my... Yep, lights up 3 of them, which just lancing through the drones, burninating across the mineral lines. And there's a Colossus in production. There's an Adept paying non-existent lip service to the idea of walling off. herO has hotkeys for his foracles and a single Stalker, and the rest of his units are being controlled through various other means. Meanwhile, just melting the Hydras. The Queens are here, but he's almost out of energy. And the Hydras come out. But that's only going to validate the choice to go Colossi. It is extended thermal lance is halfway done, which is halfway to catching up with me, and Templar Archives is on the way. As he meanders... Hey, guys, let me chop the rock! Oh, he just finished charge. The Colossus is joining in. Well, the upgrades +2 versus +1 melee. And +1 melee is certainly not an ideal choice here. The Stalkers just eat the corrosive bow, which is kind of gross. Meanwhile, the Zerglings at the 3rd, but a herO Colossus. Puns entirely intended. 23, 24 Zergling kills. A cannon with 1 HP. And this counterattack is just incinerated. herO in that last exchange. 2,500 minerals and 100 gas. Against 700, 200. The cost efficiency is redonkulous. A technical term. He's got a 4th base done. He's even on supply with a Roach Hydra Zergling Zerg. It's not good for Rogue. But, again, it could be worse. He could have less drones, I guess. It's not good. 200 supply of Roach Hydra. This is okay if you have 5 to 3 bases like last game. But herO's army is just better. It costs twice as much gas, almost a couple thousand more minerals. His army's so good, he's cloven it in twain. And it's still a threat on both sides. He's going to attack up to the north, but he baits him out of position and just smashes. Well, okay, well, I don't know if baits him out of position is exactly how I'd describe this, but somehow the Colossi and the Oracles get out. Obliterates the base. Colossus admiring its handiwork. Recall is now on cooldown, but there's a fleet beacon on the way as well as a 2nd Stargate. The obvious choice. And this army now is about to be surrounded by Zerglings, but who's flanking whom? The Colossus incinerated the Zerglings. The Immortal taken out. The Colossus kind of abandoned. The rest of the army is coming down. He does not have Storm. A few stasis wards in the midst of everything. He can target him down, but he doesn't. There's another stasis. Oh, no! Stop right there, criminal scum. And no, that's not enough. Oh, for half of Rogue's army is actively blocking in the rest. The stasis wards, a force field in herO's favor. And now it comes out of stasis, and he can just pick it apart. Oh my. This game, herO did not lose 3/4 of his entire economy. He's going to get a mothership. He's going to get more Immortals. And he's pretty much going to get whatever he wants because he's up 30 supply. A hive is about to complete, but he didn't get a lurker den. He wants Vipers. Vipers to pull the Colossi is the best I think he can do. Especially without lurkers here, but somehow 3 oracles have survived. And, well, herO just keeps bopping bases. Goes to the 12 o'clock, drags the army, goes to the 9 o'clock with some charge lots, though gets a little distracted by the roaches. A Warp Prism, a Shrine to Dark, and 2 Vipers on the way as Rogue kind of remembers why he built the hive in the first place. Yeah, but herO's just going to keep going. Rogue's down to 3 bases. He's getting cyber bullied right now. There goes the hatch. He's down to 2 bases. Well, I guess he has the 3rd over here, but certainly herO's about to finish up his 5th. He's building Tempest. Building multiple... Wait, he's got Dark Shrine, shield upgrades, +1 air. He's maxed out, so might as well build more cannons. The Vipers, no! Just enough time to pull them back, but barely have enough energy for a single abduct. And he needs a bit more than that. The Overlords are just hanging out in the midst of everything. Well, herO has not killed him yet. If he loses this army completely, like in the most beautiful Viper usage, Blinding Cloud and abduct the Colossi, Blinding Cloud and everything else, maybe. Maybe. But otherwise, this is looking more one-sided than a Mobius Strip right now. As herO, just going to take a breather. The Zerglings in the 5th base. He's going to get 1, 2, 3, yeah, 5. We're going to go to, yes, 7 Stargates. Because why not? Stargate command, 7 star... You can't... 7 Tempests at a time, which is absolutely ludicrous. Or Phoenixes. Gonna bring those Phoenixes back. As the Vipers are getting real value. Unfortunately, just as they do, the Warp Prism slips into the main, and the hive itself is being eviscerated by the charge lots. The Lurker Den is right next to it. He can work on that. He may just get the hive. DT Blink is on the way. There's the rest of the army. He's at the... And there goes the hatch. Oh, this is... The hive is at 14 HP! It's so close! He warps in another wave! Can he get the prism? No. The hive lives. But we have to ask ourselves that question. Have you liked and subscribed? And at what cost? Well, herO actually lost most of his army. The Vipers did everything they needed to. herO's... Yep. And continuing. More Archons. It literally is the perfect fight. And then in comes the mothership, and there's no Overseers, and he can't see it. Aww. Right as it looked like Rogue was gathering momentum, herO pulled out his invisibility cloak. Rogue is building 7 Overseers, like he has 80 drones and 8 bases. He literally just held down the key. There's a hive that is on its very last non-legs that could die if someone accidentally, like if a queen injects it too hard. We've all been there, but... the Zealots, the Vipers have been working... Rogue is just not going to have a hatchery, which is not good for your long-term economic outlook. Also not good for your short-term economic outlook. Both are still true. There goes the hive. Rogue is on 1 base at the 17-minute mark with 200 supply. But here comes a apocalyptic storms. herO, with both hands tied behind his back, he finally relinquishes 1 to bring out the storm. And immediately the game just ends. herO with the 7 Stargate. The Colossi being actual value. And they work perfectly. And by the time Rogue could put together a response, it was already far too late. Well, another one. Gimme. Game 3. A clear difference. Game 1, Rogue killed over half the economy, while herO did a build that has been phased out of style for a pretty obvious reason. Game 2, herO did another build, but he didn't lose half. 2 base Blink into Colossus with 4 Oracle. Why not? All right. Mom always said herO's builds are like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. The probe. Gonna do some laser tonguing on the minerals. So, for those who don't know, there's always someone. It's the first time for everyone. But welcome. The mineral patches are not monogamous. The mineral patches, whenever a worker gets up to the mineral patch and says, hey, I want to mine you, the mineral patch is like, you shouldn't. And then the worker's like, yeah, I will. And then for a couple seconds, that worker has to gather the minerals. Well, the mineral patch says that the moment someone activates, as soon as you get close, right next to it, give it a little smooch, getting more weird by the second, then the mineral patch says to everyone else, I'm taken. All right? No one else. Someone is mining me right now. The mineral patch doesn't know that herO keeps canceling the mining command and explicitly to have the mineral patch tell all the drones that it's taken. But that's what's happening. So he's constantly convincing the mineral patches that they're being mined, and the AI, such as it is, of the workers or the mineral patches is sending drones elsewhere. And you see Rogue manually microing back his workers like he's not actually mining it. Oh my, how many times are you gonna let him lead you on like this? And well, getting led on by herO is a life goal, I think, but don't tell my wife. You actually no, fine. There's a pass there, I think. But what was I saying? So marginally annoying and potentially actually damaging that Rogue he would rather follow him with a drone than allow him to keep smooching his minerals. If you do it perfectly and they don't respond at all, you can deny several minerals, like 10 to 20, maybe even 25, if you do it perfectly on like multiple patches. But like and subscribe if you hate probes. And if you don't hate probes, get some help. All right? Stop. Or start. Whatever. Well. Thanks, I hate it. herO with another bespoke. Well, this is one we've seen before. The double pylon in the wall. If you really want to get a third base faster, and I think they're, don't. I'm not going to put myself through that. Just, it is what it is. I'm a Grandmaster Protoss, all right? If you didn't see my humble brag at the beginning of the season, I think I'm not sure if it was high enough MMR, I haven't played in a bit. But yeah, got Grandmaster as random. And also, just for funsies, I turned off my keyboard and got Grandmaster as Protoss. No, I played with a keyboard. Most of the time. But what's the point of that besides bragging? Not sure, but it is what it is. And that's all I have to say about that. Completely derailed my own train of thought. Just like herO has constantly derailed... He's transferring a whole bunch... This has to be a fake. Like, there's... Doing this on purpose? That's 13 drones transferred over to his third base. And there's no... He does not have that sort of... Yeah, good luck on the fourth. I don't know if he's trying to convince herO that he has more workers than he does, but he just built... I guess it's a little more efficient. And the queens are defending the third more than they're defending the natural, so... Sure, fine. Here comes the Shady Bunch. 4 Adepts on their way across. A 4th Oracle is on the way. Again, herO just keeps building oracles until the spirit guides tell him to stop. If only we had a name for such things. A shaman, a seer of some kind. Someone who has revelations. We'll work on it. The adepts, just continually teasing the Zerglings. A lot of that going around for the Zerg. But rarely following through unless literally no defenses are there. But the threat, you can cancel it at the last moment. It's like a StarCraft ghost game. You know, right at the last split second. But the Zerg cannot take the chance. You're gonna follow. Does he have enough energy for that? Well, we're gonna find Brenda, and we're walking. You think we could do better? We can't. Does anyone have energy for transfuse? Get onto the creep. Get your toes on the creep. No! Are you okay? Absolutely fucking not. Brenda, get demonetized. I don't care. So he just kills the 4th. Sure, why not? Go ahead. Now what? Some Archons on the way. herO, I don't even know. Well, for a few why are there 11 drones dead? 11? That can't be right. There's 0 now. Total, there's only been 1. Did the Oracle just... Rogue has 77, which is too many. He's... herO helps him out. Well, it's too many because he's not focusing enough on unit production. It's not too many like he doesn't have enough army supply. Well, he's not going to have much army supply because now he has to build a dozen more drones just to catch up with what he once had. The Hydralisk Den is only halfway done. The ragtag band of Protoss tomfoolery is on the way across the... He's got 2 Archons. He's got 5 Adepts. He's got 2 charge lots. That's all of his charge lots. He's got 4 charge lots total on the map. Warps in another round. The 4th base will be delayed. The Oracles have just, well, certainly not made things better for Rogue. That's obviously an understatement and completely burying the lead, but they are burying any chance of Rogue's lead. He's clap. And what a disaster. Well, this is just enough to not do any damage to Rogue, I think. I think herO has perfectly calculated out exactly the amount of units that isn't going to break through. There's a stasis. He catches a queen, but I'm pretty... Yeah, that was just... But the Adepts made it by and killed 5 drones. And that just kind of keeps happening. The Hydras come back to defend. The Adepts are in the natural. Oh, and another wave. herO, he may have lost the battle, but he's certainly winning the war. The hatchery, another stasis, just whips it out there. He's even going for Storm, which means he thinks he might have to try a little bit to win here. But the Hydra count is high enough to drive it all back for now. herO does have his 4th base on the way. The Templar is chrono boosting Storm. There's a changeling in the main that... Didn't spot the Templar archives, but the Templar are kind of implied based on the Archons. Let's be honest, nobody's making Dark Templar Archons. Ever since Darkons were removed and integrated, occasionally we'll get the DT Archons, but usually it's the High Templar, pretty monogamous about it. Anyways, moving on. Rogue at 68 drones. herO has killed 19. It feels like twice that many. It's just been at super key times. Right when Rogue needed to produce units is when his drones have been slaughtered by almost a dozen. There's a fleet beacon on the way. A robotic... Is that his first robo? After the fleet beacon? Of course it is. There is the outside chance of lurkers at this stage, so I don't even think it's for that. I think it's for Warp Prism. He has oracles. He doesn't need detection. And one robo is not enough to really build up the immortal count to any meaningful level. What is his hotkey? His hotkey is 3 oracles, 3 archons, and a charge lot. And now it's just 4 Templar. That is his methodology. He uses select all army, but he has singular groups of units he likes to control specifically. We're actually going to go to the hero cam here. He's got the Revelations, just manually micro. You got those oracles. The charge lot's doing pretty well. This is a horrible position, but he does have Storm. But it does seem like once again he may have maneuvered himself into the only spot where his... Oh, look, High Templar! The only spot where he actually couldn't win the game. He keeps attacking directly into a full surround of Hydraling. Which... he likes challenge mode, I guess. As we've seen throughout the series. But a mothership is on the way. And this is... the Hydras and Lings chase. There's not enough Archons to stop him from chasing down. Oh, that's a lot of damage to the Hydras. The Storm. It lasts so long. And Rogue, despite jumping all of that, is actually now down 20 supply. He lost so much. He lost 28 Hydras and 133 Zerglings. In the last minute, it was the Zerglings evaporating to the Storm and getting obliterated by the Archons. That isn't so obvious until you see the lack of them. The precious Zerglings dying by the 100. 258 Zerglings in an 11-minute game. Absolutely devastating. There are 6 Dropper Lords on the way. I have no idea what he plans to drop. His supply? I'm sorry, this sounds like I'm biased towards Protoss against Zerg. I'm biased towards herO against Zerg. Also, I have a 100% win rate as Protoss against Zerg this season. No, wait, that's not true. I did lose a game. It's only like 12 games in GM. I just channel my inner herO whenever I'm losing. I'm saying, you're not actually losing, you're Protoss. And it works most of the time. I didn't... Oh, here we go. He's gonna... Oh, no, not another plot device mothership. Sure, let's see how this goes. And just as Rogue is setting up for a 2-pronged attack, he hasn't spotted the mothership. He has no detection. He's bringing an Overseer. But the natural, the drop! No response yet. The Overseer wanders into the mothership. The Oracle's distracted. The natural under attack. And Rogue will actually rip the Nexus apart. He's shored up his economy just a bit. He has 4 bases now. Moves over to the center. Just a few Zealots in position. The Nexus is dead, but the Archon's on top of the Overlords. Well, beneath them, but let's not be too pedantic. He's losing the Dropper Lords, though, quickly. The mothership out on her own. Thriving. Killing the Hydras. Time Warp. Active Cloak. No detection. JJ. herO. Takes 2 in a row. And turns it around 2-1. Bringing us to our bonus game of herO versus Clem. Clem playing Protoss. We're working our way through that series through bonus games. Because you can't put a PvP. All right, you don't want to kill the algorithm. Let's be honest here. But herO, he did like a caricature of your standard Protoss in the last 2 games. Instead of charting entirely, or at least a very rare for a reason course, the Phoenixes and the charge lots, fun idea, but I think it clearly demonstrated why the Oracles are used. And was especially contrasted with the next 2 games where herO just builds 4 Oracles and completely denies anything resembling map control for like 10 minutes. On top of the fact that the threat of a ground army kept Rogue really from getting anything done either. So, now I say a caricature because usually you see 2, maybe 3, but he's just like, how about 4? How about 4 Oracles? And only getting Storm is almost an afterthought, especially in game 2. When he went 7 Stargates, I doubt he used even half of them. But the point is, there was a point very clearly where he looked and he said, okay, that's 5 Stargates. The probe paused. He either didn't have the money or he just stopped. And then, after a couple seconds, 2 more Stargates. He's like, nah, 5 is not enough. Not even 6. 6 or 7. Yeah. Well, by the way, this series that we're slowly working through via anti-spoiler bonus games, herO defeated Clem in Protoss versus Terran in Game 1. And the rest of the series, Clem played Protoss against herO. Let's just say it wasn't a clean sweep. We saw one game of it in either the previous video or the one before. I believe it was the one with Clem playing Protoss against Beyond. So if you wanna follow along to the whole saga as we drip feed the bonus post credits content. But herO has successfully, on occasion, it's kind of like back. It seems to depend on how tilted Clem is that day, and really it could go either way. But whose probe is this? Clem builds a... Okay, that's herO's probe in the base. That's Clem's pylon. Okay, he made a hallucinated Phoenix. It's hard to keep track of sometimes in PvP. Too many probes and pylons, but herO does have most of his buildings in his own base so far. Meanwhile, Clem with 2-gate robo, a much more standard macro style. herO just went for the robo in between building units, so he actually has less units, but he has a quicker robo, which will be spotted. It wasn't really hidden. They're both going robo's. Oh, Adept tries to get in, be locked out by the probe, and just kind of dies. So herO is behind on units, actually a little behind on workers. He does take a second Nexus, and he's getting a Warp Prism of all things. There's just a probe coming across the map. I'm just trying to wrap my head around. Clem is also going for a Warp Prism, so it appears we're gonna juggle our way. Got 3 Stalkers and a Sentry loaded up. You know, the classic hit squad. Meanwhile, Clem is attacking with what units he has. 5 Stalkers and a Sentry. And I guess we're gonna base trade. Sure, here we go. So, herO gonna lose the pylon and the shield battery. Who knows about the Nexus? But the Warp Prism is now in Clem's base. He does have enough energy for a recall. A force field, and he's juggling the Sentry, kills 4 probes. Another force field. He's inside the house. Clem has his own Warp Prism. There's an Immortal. But he's bullying the probes out of the mineral line. The force fields against a Warp Prism are a bit questionable from Clem. He loses 7 probes, a recall of just a couple units to try to deal with this. He kills the Nexus and then locks herO out. herO is supply blocked off of losing that Nexus, but he does have more units. He also has 2 Immortals against none, which is significantly more. Infinitely more, some might say. The hallucinated Phoenix to maintain. He knocks down the Prism with units inside. And herO just lost his most important tool to be able to micro, well, really any of this. Chasing down a Stalker with a Warp Prism with Stalkers inside. Well, now, sure, let's go with it. Meanwhile, the Immortals are just waltzing across. Clem's Immortal's only halfway done. And the force fields, herO locks him out. And oh no, it's a disaster. And without the Warp Prism, he can't save them. That single Stalker baited him completely out of position. And now, well, there's an Immortal. The Adapt can take some of the damage. Hallucinated Phoenix comes back. Clem definite select all army. Juggling some of the Stalkers. Still, Immortals hit instantly, which means all he can do is make it harder to target them. He can't actually dodge the shots But Clem is... He does have a Nexus, but that doesn't do much for you. Maybe a little more Croto at this stage. It's more of a liability than a boon. He doesn't even have a shield battery in order to recharge or anything like that. They're both herO with 2 Immortals to 1. Clem just working on his second one. The Immortals will work through the Nexus so quickly. The Force Field could be devastating. Surprised herO didn't try for it. Force Field in the back of the ramp, juggling back. He's retreated up to the high ground. herO still has the Immortal. Well, That is my statement and testimony. And now here we're going down the ramp. herO lost one of his Immortals. Clem up and down and up and down. Do the hokey pokey and blast them all about. Another Immortal walked across the map. This one taking so much damage, but they both have the prisms to juggle back and forth. Adepts in the mineral line. And there's really not that many probes. Immortals juggled back. He's warping in the midst. Clem, a great micro, but the probes will take a lot of a force field for reasons. And he's just going to give up the Nexus because you're not allowed to expand in this matchup. Let's not be ridiculous. Okay, gets into the main base. herO, still Warp Prism. Other Warp Prisms going across the map. There's almost no anti-air. The Stalkers aren't fast enough to chase. They're both at 44 supply somehow. herO, I think I saw a Nexus that he canceled. I'm not 100% though. Sure. They both have prisms. There's 2 Immortals with like a quarter Immortal of HP between them. Meanwhile, herO has an Adept Prism. Clem has significantly less probes, and that's not getting any better. If he loses this Prism, Clem definitely loses the game. Meanwhile, 4 probes dead. Juggle. Oh, he lost it! JJ! What a disaster piece. The game was thrown into chaos. And well, who do you think that benefits? herO with almost feels like he was toying with Rogue. That first game, limit testing, can't go that crazy. Pulled it back only a bit and slapped him around with the foracles and so much more. And then dancing with Clem in and out of the prism, but Clem, he'll drag you down and beat you with experience. herO again. The #1 Protoss in the world. The #2 ranked player now over Clem. And he's not too far off SerO in terms of overall ranking. If he beats SerO one more time, there's a chance. It really depends on what SerO plays in, which he doesn't play in very much. So, but herO definitely does. We love him for it. So hopefully it made your day at least a little bit better. Thank you for watching. If you got the means and motivation, be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. Thank you to our Mule Tier patrons, bringing in the extra minerals. Big Jig Devendor, Kate Mario Soup, glad you still enjoy. And to everyone, we picked out this video just for you. Here to check it out. You got it sometime. Hope to see you next time. Good luck, have fun, thank you for watching. Hope I made your day a little bit better. Stay chill.